but it was a struggle, just like not really fitting in or not really feeling like I belonged for a while, and not just being in an environment I didn't really want to be in.
Right.
I think I kind of just had to accept my reality and just kind of enjoy the time that I had there.
Right.
And as soon as I did that, things opened up a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think doing the audio portion just helps so much.
Oh, the audio portion is so much better then.
Yeah, dude. I felt like that was really I think it was disappointing because when I first went and I was gonna do audio engineering here, I expected to have like 4 years of that.
Yeah, so to clarify to people listening, what happens in the program we went to was the first 2 years of freshman and sophomore year, you are dedicated to your instrument, your primary instrument, and like I guess the gen ed equivalents of music.
Yeah.
And then at the end of sophomore year, you have a thing called the barrier, which still gives me PTSD to this day.
Same.
Because it is a major exam where they test you on the proficiency of your instrument and all your other skills that you've learned. And you have to pass in order to move on into your program.
You get 2 chances.
Yep.
3 sometimes if they like you, but mostly 2 chances.
Yeah.
And we know people in the audio program that failed twice. And were no longer in the audio program. It was a big deal. I wanted to dive into that a little bit because we were going to talk about like our successes and failures.
Yeah.
And this is one of my biggest failures and one of my biggest successes at the same time.
Yeah,
starting out in my career.
Right.
So for barrier, we had 2 portions. We had the performance portion where you would do your concentration. So if you're a vocalist such as myself, you would do the vocals part. I had to sing like classical, Italian, arias and things like that in that nature. And you had classical pieces and piano.
Yeah.
And then you had the skills portion. For us, because we were audio majors, there's 2 classifications, classical or jazz. For the skills portion, since we were audio majors, we did jazz.
Right.
And we had to learn the 12-tone blues in all 12 keys, right?
Yep.
And then we had to learn, a
jazz piece.
There it is. And then we also had a sight singing portion as well.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we had a sight singing portion as well.
Yeah.
Going into barrier for me was probably the most nervous thing ever. So I had performance anxiety.
Right.
I didn't really perform at school. 1, because I didn't think I really had to because I was an audio major.
Right.
And 2, because I was just so anxious to do such that I really stopped myself from doing it.
Yeah,
I had to learn like a lot. Like me doing this, like the podcast in the beginning was also like a step in that direction,
right.
This is a performance in a way because people are going to be listening to it and everything.
Yeah.
And that gives me anxiety, unfortunately, you know what I mean, overall. So having this weight on our shoulders for the whole semester and getting to the portion. So like I did the skills portion. So I was tutoring with one of the professors at school, trying to get, my rhythm down for the jazz piece overall, the triplets. And he was just like, dude, you're not going to get this. Like
I had a very similar situation because so the piano requirements were a bitch in a sense where, okay, you had to have 3 pieces prepared, 1 from the Baroque era, 1 from the classical era, and 1 from like romantic onwards. And then you had to learn how to sight read a piece. Yeah. And like, not just like, here's like Mary Had a Little Lamb. It was like, here's a Bach chorale.
Sure.
You have 1 minute, look at it and play it. And I sucked at sight reading. And I had to go to my professor and had like extra lessons just for sight reading. Because I was like, help me. I cannot do this.
I felt the same way. And when he told me like I couldn't get it, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it wasn't the first time because I auditioned with this person as well. And when I first auditioned, he was just like, you're not going to be able to succeed in this program. I was told that, unfortunately. And, I'm not the type of person to give up. Like, nothing's ever really come easy to me. Music is something I have a talent for sure. But even in this, like in this level, like, it never came easy to me. So I've been told that 1,000,003 times, you know what I mean? But to hear it from like that person in general, it was just like another knife in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I talked to one of my homies, Anthony, right? And he helped me with it that day, and I got it. It was just his teaching method, I guess. But the most enriching part was when I walked out, right? He was like, you did really good with those triplets. And I was like, hell yeah,
that's great.
Hell yeah, I did.
That's great.
And it felt really good. The performance section, though, for me, was the worst thing. It was one of the very dark period in my college career because I failed.
Yeah. I remember that. That was
dude. I had a sinus infection, and I was just extremely, extremely nervous. Like just beyond belief, you know what I mean? Like my voice would just cut out. Like my body attacked me, you know, during the performance in general. And yeah, I could say I had a sinus infection, all that stuff, and maybe that was also playing in my head. But it was really the nerves that were killing me the most.
I remember that was the most terrifying part of the barrier for me.
Yeah.
Was you walk into the room and there's like 12 professors and it's just dead quiet, and you're like, can someone just like say something? Like,
and you're in this big concert hall.
Yeah,
you're just in the crook of the piano. You can't really move around. You have to stay there stagnant, and you're just in this like this huge stage, and it's just you and this piano and this your accompanist, and there's just the heads of the departments just grilling you.
Yeah,
there's no expressions, there's no emotions, and if one person fails you, you fail the whole thing. So it was just like such an intense thing, and I just couldn't handle it at the time.
I remember I actually because we drove there, obviously.
Sure.
Commuted. I left my keys and wallet by the piano after I left.
Did you really?
The professor, my piano teacher, had to come out and be like,
oh my God.
Do you want to go home?
Oh my God.
That was terrible because I was so stressed out. Because during my piano career,
sure,
I've done so many recitals, but it has not improved my anxiety for performing.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I was just like so like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And once it was over, I walk out, I just like buckled and like just place planted on the floor. And the other pianist's like, are you okay, man? And he's like, you're gonna ruin your suit. I'm like, I don't care, man. I'm done.
Dude, for me it was just a lack of confidence. Like my freshman year, me and my boy went to go see Logic, the rapper.
Yeah.
And he threw me on stage to do like he had this segment. Yeah, he had this segment where for one of his songs, he would let a fan in the audience do the rap part.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was in the front row, and he pulled me out of the crowd.
Holy shit.
And there was 1,200 people there, and I did it, and I went hard.
Okay.
Like, I had people like from...
It wasn't knees weak, arm spaghetti.
Yeah, not at all. Like, I really went hard. I tried really, really hard. And I felt so good, and I was in my element, and there was like more people than I've ever performed with, to ever. And just to say that to compare 1,200 to just 12, you know what I mean? It just felt like I was out of my element, with like hip hop and like pop music and things and like moving around on stage. That's something I feel that's my element. Yeah. And then just this very like I don't know,
very
like,
sterile,
very sterile, very by the book, like very strict format.
Right.
Was just not something that I was comfortable with overall. But it was a painful experience because I had to watch all my colleagues and friends start doing audio.
Oh, that was the worst. Yeah, I
because
that.
We had like for me, I had vocal training for the first 2 years, and then once you pass your barrier, you go into audio training.
Yeah.
So and you get personal lessons from a professor at the school.
Yeah. So you're like, if I was taking piano lessons, it would switch over from the piano teacher to an audio teacher.
Correct. Exactly.
Right.
And so I had to still do vocals while I watched all my friends do audio, and I just felt like the biggest failure. Like honestly, in the summer, like I quit. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Overall. It wasn't until I coincidentally and kind of funny, I watched Your Lie in April, the anime.
Oh, yeah.
It honestly inspired me to go back and do it again. You know what I mean? And keep fighting. And I was able to pass the second time. I knew I passed the second time because after I did the performance section and the teachers were walking out, they were singing. I did a Spanish song, and Adela.
Yeah.
And they were all singing it on their way out. And I was like, that's how I knew I hooked them. And I was like, I got this one. And I did pass the second time. And then I started catching up with everybody else. Nice. But it was just a difficult time period. I guess the moral of the story is like, you just can't give up.